I gotta get used to this. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm used to it, and then I'm like, nah, I'm not used to this yet. Oh, man. God. I wonder about that. I don't even really know. Like, I don't know. I don't remember it being like this. Like, I don't know. I had that little video camera, right? When I had my last apartment. It was just like a regular camera, a digital camera. I don't remember my skin doing this. I remember that these were there, right? But I filmed plenty of videos when I was like sitting on, and I was already like so upset about that, right? But I think I feel like I filmed plenty of videos where I was like sitting, but I just I don't remember my skin doing that. Doing like, oh man. Yeah. I definitely, I don't even know how to describe that. It's a funny feeling, you know? It's kind of a funny feeling. Yeah, so I've talked about this before. I'm probably gonna erase this video. It's certainly not as important or serious as the last video. You know? It's funny. I don't know. Oh, brutal. I like not genuinely brutal, not like truly brutal, but yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like, whew, messing around. They talk about aging, right? Whew. I don't. Is that what they fix? How do you fix it? I haven't even read about it. I really didn't get that far, like reading about it, like what people do to like fix it up. I don't know. Do they like? I have absolutely no idea. Do they like pull the skin up and then like they hitch it up to something behind your ears? I don't know. But then what do they do about these? Like this part of it? Because I noticed that I was in my last apartment. When I was in my last apartment, I think it was my last apartment. Or maybe was it then that it started to happen? Where I didn't really know it was gonna happen, but I felt like I noticed like my eyelids eyelids like slipping down. So now I look different, and I don't really have any old pictures. I don't really actually have any old pictures of myself from before my eyelids were doing that. Like, but I think this in particular. I think is the kind of surgery that can go really wrong. How do I feel about plastic surgery? I feel like it's not a good thing to get a lot of. Do you know what I mean? And this is like these past few years are the first time in my they're not actually the very first time in my life I ever thought about plastic surgery. But I didn't really have there was absolutely nothing about me that I should have had plastic surgery about before. And now I think about this, I'm like, huh. I would hope I would never turn into somebody who like had plastic surgery like every other week. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I mean, this I can totally see asking someone to deal with once. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't hold it off forever. You cannot hold it off forever. You can maybe get the fix up like once, But the idea of like, I mean, how you're gonna run out of skin eventually. Eventually, you just gotta take it, right? Just be like, all right, well, that's it. That's the end of it. I'm old. I would think. I mean, how many times can you really like, iron your neck out? I don't even really know. And then this, I feel like would be this I'd really have to think about, because this is the kind of thing that can. It seems like this has got to be easier than this. This has got to be actually really quite difficult, I would think, to make it look natural and to make it just kind of look like it's you, and not to really change your face. So I don't know about that. As much as I don't like it, I think I have to really think about it. I don't like that look of where it's like you look like in fact those like eyelids on dolls that like click open and shut, because I think you can end up looking like that, and I wouldn't like that. Plus you gotta get old eventually, right? Yeah. Ugh. I gotta get used to it. But the thing is, I think the thing that has kind of really been a stumbling block for people when they're thinking about me and talking about me is like, as much as I enjoyed being pretty, it really wasn't for other people. And it really wasn't about getting attention, and it really wasn't about being admired that for just for being beautiful. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was nice when people said stuff, but people didn't like just talk all day long about what I looked like. Thank God. I had a lot of other things, a lot of other qualities about me that were worth something. You know what I mean? And that was how I related to people. It really is. And I could never stand to be around people who were like totally superficial and only about the way they looked, or only about the way that I looked. You know, there were plenty of guys who talked to me who talked to me only because of the way that I looked, and I just booted them right out of my life. I didn't even bother with them. You know, I totally didn't. I figured out who they were like immediately, and never had anything to do with them ever. I just didn't. You know, I just didn't. It was. I don't think I ever in my entire life had one interaction with somebody where like I kissed them or something, and there was absolutely nothing in it whatsoever except them being attracted to what I look like. You know, as much as they may have been attracted to what I look like, I talk to people. You know, we had a personal interaction. It wasn't some kind of personal interaction where everything was geared towards like I'm gonna end up with you or whatever it is. You know, it was very, very few times in my life that there was some guy who was actually like somehow controlling this interaction with me. You know, it wasn't very few times. You know, for the most part, I related to people in a pretty equal way. You know, and sometimes when I couldn't, or sometimes when things got screwed up, it was, you know, I mean, it's just like everybody has things that are screwed up and things that get screwed up in their lives. But yeah, so this idea, I mean, yeah, it's painful for me. Sure, because I liked it. I liked being pretty, but it wasn't like it was certainly has never in my entire life been the only thing about myself that I ever cared about. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's kind of a funny process too to think about it too, because I have to you do kind of get used to it, and I have to like relinquish it. I have to relinquish that side of my life slowly, like a piece at a time. I have to just kind of relinquish it. And sometimes I think about it too. I think about it funny too. Maybe it's not funny, but I just thought of this now, just like sitting here with it. I was like, yeah, it's funny. Like, you know, the good pictures of me or the bad pictures of me, or the people are, I picture people, especially the ones who like, who, you know, are younger in some way, being like, oh, she's hot. No, she's not. Oh, she's hot. Like, no, she's not. Oh, like, and it's gonna be, I think it might be a little bit uneven of a process, right, in terms of relinquishing that, because there didn't used to be any kind of like that. No, she's not. There just wasn't, you know, like after certainly by the time I was in my late 20s up until I only really had a few years of really looking the way that I was supposed to look when I was an adult, right? And then I started to age, and it's kind of too bad. It's kind of too bad that my whole life got so screwed up as much as it did. You know, the times when I really looked like myself and was actually doing well, there were not really very many of those years like coinciding. But yeah, you know, I mean, I can't totally complain. But yeah, it's kind of, I'm trying to like balance having having a sense of humor about it with also having respect for myself. Because there really is no reason for someone to like torture somebody about what they look like. I don't do that, you'll notice. I am not torturing other people about what they look like. You know, I don't think so. Anyway, I'm not like, you know, obsessing about it one way or another. The conglomerate obsesses about it all the time, while trying to make it seem like I'm this moron. You know, while it just obsesses all the time about what I look like. You know, on the exact same page. They'll have like something calling me old and hideous, and then something saying, you know, you really want to see her naked. It's like, you know, I mean, and somehow, you know, it's just, and I'm the one who's getting, where people are like writing messages to me at YouTube being like, oh, you're crazy. You know, I don't know. I don't really know how to address it. I don't know. You know, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, you can feel it too. You can feel just on a, like an emotional level, I guess an ego-driven level. You can feel the urge to like say things or do things that will like compensate for what you're missing. It can feel it. I'm noticing it's not, I mean, I've observed other people in my life who did things particularly to make people, like, looking for ways to make people attracted to them, really perhaps not in the most honest way, right? Or not in the most scrupulous way. I've observed it, like, the times throughout my life, right? And now, being the age that I am, it's like I have to kind of watch that for myself and be like, all right, you know, I've made these decisions about what I think is the right thing to do. And now, in addition to being really alone all the time, I have to like gauge what I'm doing and what I'm saying, and the stuff that the decisions that I make, so that I'm not like looking for a way to continue to like, it's like a narcissistic supply. Narcissistic supply. If you read about that online, you know, people who are narcissistic, they need other people to be constantly giving them the feedback that makes them feel a certain way about themselves. You know? Yeah, I would not say that my life is ruled by narcissism, but I think it's a danger. I think it can be a danger. You get used to having your life be a certain way. And then you have to relinquish it. You know, you have to relinquish it. So even if I was not really all that narcissistic about the way I looked when I was younger, it's like I have to make sure, I have to do what I can to like be aware of the ways in which like my ego is like grasping at that kind of attention. You know, it's natural and it's normal for me to be growing out, and you know, maybe growing out of it, growing out of having that kind of attention. But at the same time, it's not flattering, you know, and it's something that I'm used to. So, and like my life is kind of absent other things right now. You know, all the things that make a life worthwhile, the conglomerate has stolen them from me. So, and that was always often there, just kind of as a fallback. Oh, well, in terms of like how I felt, not in terms of getting things from people, but just in terms of how I felt about myself. So it's kind of a lot. It's kind of a lot to deal with. But I'm sincere about letting people live their lives. You know what I'm saying? Like it's important to me to not like steal from people the things that I was not able to have when I was young. You know, because that would make me as bad as all the things that ever happened to me, right? So yeah.